Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, good people.
So, guys, we're going to start off by taking a look at Tropical Storm Elsa, which will more than likely be Hurricane Elsa, may even be by the time you guys listen to this, as she is gaining strength. And you could see the location right now off the west coast in the Gulf. Beautiful area. I most definitely have shared with you guys that I loved my time in Florida and definitely more of a Gulf side person. But the Gulf has to be aware of where else is going. You see, the computer models are pretty much in agreement here that what we're looking at is more than likely going to be a landfall somewhere north of Tampa. And if we look at the latest statement, we see Tropical Storm Elsa update. It's strengthened up to 70 miles an hour. It should be getting over that 75 mile an hour zone, which will push her back into a hurricane instead of a tropical storm. And obviously, it's not always about the winds, it's about the rain and the flooding. And, there again, that a lot of that depends on how fast it's going to be moving. We see Governor DeSantis has expanded the state of emergency to cover a dozen counties, and the weather is most definitely getting worse over in that area. Bands of rain were actually hitting the Surfside over on the Atlantic coast, where there's nothing but rubble left of the tower that collapsed on the 24th, which has killed at least 32 people. Search and rescue crews have been working through the rain, searching for more than 100 others still listed as missing.
That's really scary stuff there.
It is. And this is talking about the Great Salt Lake, because the Great Salt Lake is actually close to hitting a record low. And we've been talking about Lake Mead, which again, I'm not sure how much we want to share, but we've had these impressions of Lake Mead, and in particular the dam being an area of concern, as we've gotten visions of events that would lead to catastrophic changes.
Yeah, definitely want to be careful because I don't want to scare anyone, but seeing things that I feel timelines could be changed if we envision the right outcome of the timeline that we want to see. So, yeah.
Yeah. So again, when it comes to what we're experiencing in the West and the wildfires, the drought, that situation, which may lead to a second Dust Bowl, and then we put into the picture everything that we've seen, and we're going to be looking at some more explosive events. There's a lot of reason for concern, but again, we won't fall prey to the fears. We need to use, and we were just talking to our good brother Ben about drawing and pulling light into your area. If everybody out there that's a starseed and a light worker knew that the power that they have inside them to create change is so great, especially as we start coming together in groups, and not necessarily even physically coming together consciously, because we're in this great ocean of consciousness. And separateness in many ways is really totally an illusion. We learn this through quantum physics, quantum entanglement. And Carl Jung had spoken about the collective consciousness. We can affect great change. And the key is, again, it's rooting, grounding, getting back in touch with Mother Earth that has been so cut off from us by everything that is going on around us, from our religious points of view that dominate the planet, the geopolitical, all the pollution, the poisoning, the keeping us wrapped up on the wheel. We've given allegories in past videos recently of how in so many ways most of humanity is just like a mouse or a wheel running on this wheel, going nowhere.
Yep.
Going nowhere, spinning our tires, so to speak. We can make positive change. And here we see they're talking about the Great Salt Lake up there in Utah, and that is drying up at a record pace.
Wow.
The lake levels are expected to hit a 170-year low this year. So obviously the drought is getting worse. And many of us have raised up the question when we know that cloud seeding happens, we know there's geoengineering, so why? Well, there must not really be a desire. That's the bottom line. So that also is waking up people. We got to keep waking people up to the reality of these weather conflicts, let's say, going on. 1 million people affected by floods, 63,000 evacuated. This is over in China. And, again, the question comes up with Three Gorges. Damn, what's going on there? What's going to be going on there? As where there's water, there's way too much, as seems to be the case globally going on, and in particular zones, which are critical zones. So I found this was interesting because we have here 4.1 over here, eastern Montana, and then over here in Wyoming, 4.1, so close to each other, with quite a bit of swarming that's been going on around Yellowstone. And I know there's been a lot of buzz about that, a lot of people talking about Yellowstone. And of course, Yellowstone definitely sells.
Well, yeah, when there's a giant ape and he's sleeping and you really want to keep an eye on him if he wakes up, you bet.
Yeah, and that is a giant. And, as we see over here in Hawaii, we have one that's a little bit bigger than what we have been seeing typically, but we have had in the past. We see a 5.2 over here in Hawaii at 26.9 kilometers depth. So interesting there. And, there's been talk about Mauna Loa waking up as well. And then we jump over and we see more explosions. Large explosion rocks Iranian oil field.
Wow.
Near Iraq border, leaving multiple dead.
Oh.
3 oil workers were killed and 4 injured in the explosion on the pipeline. And, just another one. It's another day. It's another explosion or two. Mm-hmm. And this was over in Thailand, I believe. Let me see what. Yeah, this was the one in Thailand. And this was a chemical factory. And, this was another real bad one because of, they're not letting us know exactly how bad the chemicals are that people are being exposed to now because of this explosion. All around the globe. Explosions, explosions, explosions.
Yeah, that's really terrible when they won't give out. I mean, it's not like those are minor details either. These are things that can kill you. They can lead to long-term, short-term illnesses. We need to know.
Yeah, infrastructure, energy, all these things just, to me, it's like that store, Target, a little bullseye right there. Wreckage of Russian turboprop jet found by investigators in the Far East. 28 passengers and crew feared dead in a major incident there. And yeah, I'm sure there is to some degree a natural component going on. Mm-hmm. But everything is amplified, and that's what we are getting. Just to share with you guys, too, just to touch briefly on it, what we got is that if there was no interference by these, darker forces, as we say, the group that starts with an I, ends with an I, there's most definitely many of these groups, but there's really, the major puppet masters underway. If they were not here and influencing us, then in these times, we would be so in tune with the earth, mm-hmm. And we would know instinctively when there really was going to be an earthquake where. Yeah. And we would move just like flocks of birds, yeah. herds of, animals, we would instinctively move to another area because we would have been that in tune with the earth, and that's part of this whole separation. And why the separation's here, because they don't want us being in tune with the elemental forces of nature and not communicating with them. Why else do we have, the historical situation that we see where quote unquote witches were persecuted? And again, these were people that were shamanistic. These were people that were mostly just healers or intuitives, empaths, people that had a little bit more psychic abilities than normal, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they're communing with Satan. Again, that's all fear-based control, and many are waking. I'm so happy to see so many waking up out of their fear-based control system, because this was what was done again to the indigenous people of the Americas, with many more killed in that Holocaust than in the one in World War II time.
Yeah, that really bothers me. That was so disturbing how they come and they maim and slaughter, and then they call them the savages. It was horrible.
Yeah, exactly. But this is what we have. Everything is in verse, basically. And many want to say there's white hats and black hats. The reality is, all the hats are varying shades of gray, as there's an interplay of yin and yang that's constantly in force in this matrix, and it's about cultivating the peace and the love and the positivity and the positive change. And so we definitely see a lot of saber rattling. Beijing issues protest after Japan signals that it would join the U.S. to defend Taiwan in case of Chinese attack, as recent statements have come from the leader of China basically saying that there will be one unified China with Taiwan back under control of the mainland. So, we see this, we understand that this is a way that they lower vibrations. This is a way that they keep us running on that wheel that goes to nowhere. Iran accuses Israel of June sabotage attack at nuclear site, says it caused no damage to equipment. And we had speculated that that was probably the case, and again, the puppet masters control all the players ultimately at the top. And checking in on the fleet tracker, the thing that hits you when you look at this, if you're following it week to week, is that there's a lot of forces centered around the Middle East. Of course, we've had the exercises going on up in the Black Sea, and also we have the evacuation or the withdrawal of forces from Afghanistan, which has led to a vacuum, which is being filled by the Taliban. But again, this is all part of a bigger play going on. As forces are coming out of Afghanistan, there's actually a buildup in other areas, and this is, part of the illusion, as Syria is a place that we have to be very, very concerned about. Same thing with Libya too, and again, Iraq. It's the poor people of the world, the average innocent people, that are suffering. Here you see Target and Walgreens closing early due to thefts in California stores. We've been talking with family members about the fact that there's this huge separation going on right now. And it's getting more and more pronounced, where you have people that are truly taking the higher road and working on themselves and unplugging the TVs, turning off the phones, and saying, I'm going to use this time for my meditation or for yoga or for Qigong, or maybe even just getting out there in nature, taking more hikes, doing some more camping, or doing other things of work helping others. It could be anything. I mean, there's and sorry to interrupt you there. There's a channel that we follow called Dome Life, which I think of them as two kids, but they're probably in their mid-20s. They're great kids. I mean, these are great people that are all about getting out and connecting with nature, and they're in Arkansas, but now they're going to go and live on the road, which is going to be challenging because they're going to be in something that's half the size, well, quarter the size of what we were in. So super tiny. But what do they do when they're out there? They're organizing like trash pickups and things like that with people in local areas, cleanups and things. So they value the earth, they value Mother Nature, and more people are going to be doing things like that, I think, in the future.
And it really is important that you take responsibility to find the time, find the place. And there was times when I had to lock myself in the bathroom. I had to wake myself up at 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning to get my meditation and mantras in. And it does take that kind of desire to want things to change bad enough. You find a way. You will find a way. So it's really important to push yourself sometimes.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to see this. We're going to see some more people getting desperate and more people kind of going down that service to self path. As you see, looters ransack San Francisco Neiman Marcus in broad daylight. And then over in Oakland, we have tons of violence going on. Oakland streets erupt into 12 hours of nonstop chaos, homicide, shootings, sideshow violence. This is part of the Great Divide. And again, we'll have people that think that because they have a certain dogma, they're going to get popped out of this existence and taken to heaven. It's not dogma. It's vibration. It's frequency. Everything is about frequency and vibration. Where is your heart at? Truly. Are you putting out there peace, love, compassion? Are you trying to help others and to wake others up and to share with others? Or are we just living in a fear-based society of them against us? That's how they control us. And yeah, we are facing real things. You see, supermarkets are stockpiling inventory as food costs rise. Grocers are setting aside larger amounts of frozen meat, sugar, and other items to protect profits ahead of anticipated price increases. And what we've gotten is that we still do have a little time, but that things will be getting progressively tougher and more obvious as to the storm, this way too perfect storm that we're facing. We're not in that point yet, but it's coming close. And so when we get towards the end of this year, you're going to see, and I believe David at Adapt 2030, I don't know if it was in one of his videos or just in one of our personal conversations, he had shared with me that that's what he had felt earlier in the year, that wait to the end of this year, and that's what we've gotten as well. It's more like towards the end of this year, then people are going to realize that we are really facing something. And we have Canada finally easing the pandemic border crossing restrictions. So finally, there'll be some flow of traffic. And we do know some people in Canada that had thought about, getting out when they could. And I don't know what their plans are now, but yeah, might be a window of opportunity there.
Yep.
As we've seen, there is a difference in what people are facing from country to country, and even within countries from state to state, province to province. Yeah, we had two bright meteor fireballs blazing over Idaho within hours of each other. So, were they just rocks or were they ships? But yeah, 31 reports were received by the AMS, the American Meteor Society. And, there's sightings going on every day up there. So I wanted to share this with you guys. 5-minute breathing exercise lowers blood pressure better than working out or medication. And, so many of our modern medications do nothing but mask the real issue. And, that's the bottom line. Does it maybe give you some relief? Yeah. But is the original problem still there? Yeah. It doesn't remove the problem. They just basically cover up the symptoms and often create new issues, which ends up creating repeat customers and more profits.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a 5-minute workout that scientists call strength training for your breathing muscles. It's proving to lower blood pressure as well or better than traditional exercise and prescription drugs. And it's basically a little kind of inhaler type of thing that you breathe into. There's video here. Um, and of course, you could go and buy the inhaler, but really, we don't need to. And it's really all about proper breathing. And I wanted to share this with you guys because this is one of the keys to so much right now. And here's 8 deep breathing exercises that will reduce anxiety, yes, uh, shift us over from the fight or flight into the rest and digest where your body can heal. Shallow breathing is so detrimental to our health. And most people are shallow breathers. So this is one of the reasons why yoga and pranayama, which simply is breath work, um, and things like Tai Chi and Qigong are so amazing. As we had shared before, what's the quickest way to alkalize your body? It's through your breath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you learn these things about the human body, how miraculous our bodies truly are. And they don't teach us any of this stuff in science or, and PE or phys ed. They don't hardly teach any of this. They don't want to talk about breathing. They just, say go get some exercise and call it good. And there's a lot more to it.
There is, and cardiovascular exercise is wonderful. It's great. Exercise in general is wonderful for you. But you could do a lot just by practicing breathing exercises or pranayama. And so shallow breathing definitely contributes to anxiety. When people are anxious, they tend to take rapid, shallow breaths that come directly from the chest. And there's a physiological response that happens, and there's certain hormones that are produced when we do this that, again, they heighten our senses. That's part of their purpose, to get us hyper aware. But also they cause a lot of oxidative stress, and they will eventually lead to adrenal fatigue when we're in the fight or flight and in not breathing properly. We should breathe as a baby, but also when we breathe, focus first on your diaphragm going down, and then feel expansion at the sides of the low back and allow the belly to come out. And, when we think about people in the military, chest out, right? Chest out, arms back, the stomach in. We're taught a lot of things that are not good for our long-term health. And so here's some breathing exercises that you can do. Alternate nostril breathing is something that's done in certain yogic practices because it does awaken the Ida and the Pingala, which are the masculine and feminine nadis that intersect at the chakras along the spine. So this could help to balance that energy as well as shift you into an altered state of consciousness in which your body can start healing. Belly breathing, as we were talking about. There's box breathing. It's another technique in which you hold for certain counts, like exhale to a count of 4, hold your lungs empty for a count of 4, inhale for a count of 4, hold air in your lungs for a count of 4, exhale, and begin the pattern anew. And there's different patterns you could use for different purposes. Lion's breath. I'll give you guys the link so you could go through all this. Mindful breathing, pursed lip breathing, resonance breathing, simple breathing. Actually, there's so many things we can do that don't cost us money. We don't have to buy anything. We just have to take a little time to shift our mind into a different state and allow our body to do what it wants to do, which is to heal itself.
Mm-hmm.
Heal thyself. That's a beautiful thing. So I want to thank everybody also for your support at Medicinal Foods. As you know, we've teamed with them. As these are good guys, this is not a big corporation. This is good, healthy products that can do an awful lot for us. Again, it's more about nutrition than calories in so many ways. As one of the things that's been on my mind so much is just some friends of ours that are working through cancer, and we have 2 people we know with basically colon cancer that are trying to, come to grips with it. And, the debate is always, do I go natural? But there's so much that can be done, whether you're going to go conventional, and again, the conventional of today didn't exist in the past, right? And a lot of things didn't exist in the past, including the high rates of cancer that we see. And you might have some say, well, it's simply because we're living longer. Well, the environment's toxic. That's the bottom line. There's toxicity all around us. There's things hidden in substances that you don't even think are there. You wouldn't even think that they would be there. When you go to buy something that you think is a simple item, shrimp. Say you're going to buy a bag of shrimp. Look at the ingredients. See what's there besides the shrimp, because there's going to be all sorts of preservatives there more than likely, and check where it comes from. Some countries are worse than others with all these different preservatives, dye, artificial this, artificial that, MSG. There's things like carrageenan that there's so many things in there that are causing havoc with our immune systems that we might not be aware of. So keep an eye on that. And everything here is going to basically just boost your immune system. And there's a wonderful list of products here for you guys to check out.
Wonderful place that we trust and we would definitely turn to.
Yes, and it does support the channel when you guys order through our link at Medicinal Foods. And there's a link on every video there at the top. And we do want to thank also all of our Patreons for their support, because we couldn't do it without them. And then everybody also that is supporting us over on Ko-Fi, which goes directly basically into our PayPal. Stay prepared out there, guys. Work on that mind-body-spirit connection. That is the most important thing in these times. That's what's going to elevate us up in vibration, and eventually, as we wake up more people, change the reality on the planet. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.